Hello and welcome to Achievement Hunting 101. I'm FuFuCuddilyPoof and this is level 260. Joining me tonight is Koosh.
Hello.
And Matrarch.
Hello. I'm trying to think.
Be just the three of us tonight. No big whoop.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of, have I been on this show without Elle being on? I feel like
Oh yeah.
maybe it's happened
You
once
have
or
to have.
twice. Yeah, I've definitely been on segments, but the panel not so much. Since typically if he's missing out on a show, I'm also at whatever it is. Yeah.
That's very true. I never really thought of that.
Yeah, it's a lot of Mets games and concerts and things like that. The Mets are just...
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, don't get me started. So, what are we talking about today?
The Mets, surprisingly.
Definitely not baseball. Because I don't think any of us would have played a baseball game.
No.
But there is one thing I did notice about the level 260.
Uh-huh.
That means
Uh-huh.
in 2 years' time, it'll be level 360, which means that will be our big retrospective on Xbox 360.
Oh,
We have to.
book it.
All right.
I like it.
I'm sold.
It'd be weird not to.
I like it.
Everybody can look forward to that in 2 years' time. 2025 special. We should get writing on that. Oh, wait. That's on strike.
Oh,
Never
no.
mind. Well, if that. But either way, we do actually have some news. So before we jump into our topic of discussion, since that revolves around our news, we have some more Game Pass news. And it feels weird talking about that Game Pass right off the bat instead of like later on what games is coming. But there's been a change up with Game Pass, and I guess Games with Gold has also been in the crosshairs. So instead of having Games with Gold or Xbox Live Gold, it's just Game Pass Core, which, let's just stop there. What do you guys think about that name? I think it sucks. Is it just me?
As
I think
far as the name goes,
Yeah, go ahead, Koosh.
I guess it's fine. I mean,
I think it's just reflective of the way the program is changing. So sorry to step on the news a little bit here, but the way that they're modifying Xbox Live Gold now is that instead of getting Games with Gold, which is a program that's going to be retiring, and I think we all saw the writing on the wall for that.
Oh, yeah.
People who subscribe to Game Pass Core are going to receive a grouping of 25 games. And I think the title actually makes sense because it's probably what Xbox considers to be the core games in Game Pass. So like the anchor games that people would expect to have. So all of the first party stuff, maybe if a bigger third party release winds up on there. And I think they also said that new games would be added to it fairly infrequently, a couple games a year or something to that effect. So I'm thinking
Every
those
3-4 months.
I think too those are games that are not likely to leave the service. So the idea is you're getting, again, baseline games. So as part of this core subscription, these are games you're not, always with an asterisk because things can change, licensing changes. But I'm thinking that's what they mean when they call it Game Pass Core. Is these are the games that aren't going anywhere. You're always going to have access to them. But if you want to get the stuff that kind of comes in and out of Game Pass that's more exciting or more interesting, you're going to have to upgrade. So I don't hate the title.
I didn't think of it like that. That makes a little bit more sense. But when I heard Game Pass Core, I'm like, that sucks. And it might just be me looking at with nostalgia glasses of Xbox Live Gold.
I mean, I would expect nothing less from a company that names their first console the Xbox and their second console the Xbox 360 and their third console the X1. These guys are not good at naming things, except for maybe the Elite controller. Like that, okay. Elite controller. That's great. Name. That's a good name.
That's a very good point I didn't think of.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
They're not great at naming things, so.
I think that's just kind of corporate structure or whatever. Corporate structure is not the right word, but they don't view each Xbox as a new console. It's a growth or an evolution of the previous console, thus not going with new names, right? Because it wasn't 360 had to do with like a kind of codec or something that was being used in it, right? Like, so It's not that it was 360 degrees of entertainment, I think. It was actually for some piece of content that was helping the console run or developed with.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
I think so. I should probably research this before I say things that I'm not checking. So someone will check me in the Discord channel.
Why start now, Michelle?
I know.
Why start now?
I know. See, if we ever prepared before we spoke, I would make a point of researching this stuff because it drives my anxiety nuts to be like, I'm probably saying something that's incorrect. But yeah, that it's always been about, it's just an evolution of what existed before. So they don't do the 1, 2, 3 naming convention, which at least is easy to follow, and they don't do totally different names like Nintendo does. It's just sort of, okay, it's the same thing that you've experienced before, just tweaked to be a little more current.
Okay, that's fair. But yeah, let me do a quick rundown of what the new structure is. So you have Xbox Game Pass Core for $10 a month, and that's basically your Games of Gold. I'm sorry, not Xbox Live Gold, not Games of Gold. Games of Gold is dead. You have your Xbox Live Gold, your online multiplayer, your deals and stuff like that. And then, like Michelle was saying, you get 25 core games. Then for $1 more, you actually get Game Pass. That's the console version, so $11 a month, where you get all the games that's available. Oh, God, I don't even know what the running count is now. 500 or so games. And then you have Game Pass for the PC, which is still $10 a month, which is basically everything listed before, but for the PC instead of Xbox. And then there's the Game Pass Ultimate, which is probably what everyone listening subscribes to if you do have Game Pass, which is $17 a month, which really there's just nothing that's changed. It's just more expensive than what it was. But we all kind of knew that it wasn't going to be $15 forever, especially with the ZeniMax and now ABK acquisitions. Yeah, that's at least it. And like we said before, Games of Gold, unfortunately, is sunsetting. It will no longer be a thing. We all saw that coming because the last year or two has just been bad. The offerings just have not been all that great, especially when you look at the stuff over on the PlayStation side and their, what did they call it? Is it PlayStation Now or is it PlayStation Plus? I always get them backwards. I think it's Plus.
I think it's...
Now is their streaming, I believe.
Right.
Okay, so Plus is their Games of Gold, and then Now is their streaming. Got it. But yeah, with that being said, that's the big news that's come out this week revolving Game Pass. So with that, we asked our patrons, now that Games of Gold is dying, what has been some of your favorite games that you've acquired through the program, and there's any good memories or whatnot that's come with it. Nate, would you like to start it off?
Sure. Hawkeye Barry picks L's favorite game, Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2. It was a memorable game for me for so many reasons. Because not only was it a fun game, but it was the first game I played with anyone from the community. Super Hot was also a favorite. The low was the DLC bundle we got for Smite. Yeah.
We got a DLC bundle for Smite.
Yeah.
I don't even remember that.
I mean, they're a dime a dozen, right?
Yeah. There's so many.
X the Hero says, I really appreciated getting all 3 Assassin's Creed Chronicles games for free. I agree. Mm-hmm. I didn't think I would enjoy them, but after we got the third one, I figured I'd give the first one, China, a shot. And I ended up having a blast. Ran right through all 3 in like a week. Special shout out to Sonic Generations, which was fantastic, and Rayman Legends. Oh my gosh, I forgot. Which was mostly okay. What? I think there's a typo here. And Rayman Legends, which was mostly okay, but with excellent and memorable music levels. Okay, well, it's your opinion, I guess. Big L, longtime listener, first time caller, says the third Xbox One entry was Guacamelee Super Turbo Championship Edition on July 2nd, 2014. It's still one of my favorite Metroidvanias, and I don't know how many people would have jumped on if it wasn't free. That is true. Yeah. I don't know how
true.
Drinkbox would have been known to people if it wasn't for that. Ahizo says, I will second L's vote of Guacamelee. As someone who rarely enjoys the Vayner genre, I absolutely loved it. It's my ideal kind of game for games with gold or subscriptions like Game Pass, a game I would never have spent any money on, but I had a good time with once I tried it. I even bought its sequel at full price shortly after release, and I have no regrets about it. We should also buy the stack, just saying. Guacamelee was a fantastic game. If I had to pick one, it wouldn't be Little Nightmares, Moving Out, Tomb Raider, Darksiders, Destroy All Humans, or Costume Quest. It might be Dante's Inferno, but Guacamelee, I think, is probably the best. That was amazing. It was right near the start, I think, of Games with Gold.
I think that's Elle mentioned. It was the third Xbox One game. Yeah, so it was early,
and it was fantastic. Like I didn't really know much about it when I saw that it was coming. I was like, that looks like a really cool, fun game, and man, love it. And the stack is a lot of fun too. The sequel, it's okay. It's not. It improved a lot of things, but it's not Games with Gold. I thought Guacamelee is a solid answer, and those other ones would be acceptable. What about you, Kenny?
Well, first I will read some patron responses. First from Jables. Says, I got lots of games from the Games with Gold feature. Some of them were even okay. But since you're asking for favorites with a U, I'd have to choose Portal 2 and Coffee Talk. Don't know about Coffee Talk, but have an interesting story. But let me try it again. Both have an interesting story and are fun to play. I don't know about the Coffee Talk.
Yeah, I don't agree with that, but it's your opinion. So good on you.
Yeah, you do you. I know Elle agrees with you. Vulgar Latin says, I think my fondest memories was WWE 2K16. Once again, really? I would make a Creative League stuff with my brother. Okay, well, that I can see. Good gaming times with your brother. And they're both wrestling fans. Chewy says, my fondest memory was from Games with Gold is Shantae. I don't know which one. I assume there's multiple that came to Games with Gold.
This is
exactly know which one.
Visual joke where you have to actually read the words that Chewy actually wrote.
Chewy said boob. Don't worry about him.
Yeah.
Okay.
No worries.
Joke went over my head.
It's quite all right, Kenny. But if you're in Patron VIP, you've probably seen this already, or if you're curious about it, you can join us and see it there. There was all sorts of conversation after it that would make it clear to you, probably, Kenny, if you scrolled back and checked it out.
Gotcha. All right. Yes, I will have to do that. I'm very tired right now, so
all good.
I did not get that. And the last one I'm going to read off is from Wild West 08, who says, I had a lot of fun with Iron Brigade I had a lot more fun with Iron Brigade than I thought I would. Hope to see a sequel someday. Toy Soldiers was another early one that I really liked. I agree. That game was great. The biggest one for me, though, was Witcher 2. That got me into the Witcher world, and I have loved the books and TV show. Also, a special shout out to Deus Ex Human Revolution, as Games with Gold also introduced me to that universe. I played one of the Deus Ex games. Couldn't get into it, but glad you had fun.
I think I got into that on the PC. I think it was on the PC before it was on the Xbox. And so that's where I was familiar with it.
I think I played Mankind Divided. I don't know, though. I played one of them. I can't remember now.
It was one, I think at the time, maybe you remember, Michelle, but I think at the time it was one of the only games where you had multiple paths through. Like you could go, balls to the wall, like gunplay, or you could go stealth.
I think that was one of the earlier games
where the differentiator.
Yeah, I think that was one of the early games where that was the main selling point of it, because I think that came after something like Mirror's Edge, where you could like parkour your whole way through it if you were very good, or you could eventually pick up firearms, and since Faith is made of paper, you die right away. But that wasn't a selling point of Mirror's Edge the way that I think that was in this one.
Maybe that's why everyone liked Deus Ex so much, especially if you're like a little bit older. It just different entry or different type of game. Personally, I was going through the Games of Gold list. I forgot, especially early on, how many just bangers we got. Like, there were Games of Gold program was really, really solid. Has a lot of good AAA games that just most people just absolutely loved. For me though, I think the one game that I really want to shout out and say that I love and will probably be one of my favorites is a game that Nate would absolutely hate, Defense Grid 2. I love me my tower defense games. I love strategy. I love this game. I put a ton of time into it. I got the completion a while ago. Yeah, I really enjoyed that game, and that's probably something I wouldn't have bought myself, but being Games of Gold, it's just like, oh yeah, cool. I'll play that.
You know I like tower defense.
Yeah. I also really had a really hard time not saying Civ Revolution because that was clearly the best game, but we say that a lot.
Yes, we do.
I try to pick something different, but I still had to say it because it's the best one. Michelle, what about you?
I will also start with some patron responses. So let's read Freaky Rose response first. Although I haven't completed it, Chariot is probably my favorite Games with Gold. It released when my wife and I moved to California, so it sticks out as a pivotal moment in my life. At a pivotal moment in my life, pardon me. I am top 10 on unlocking several of the achievements and even tried my hand at writing some solutions. I may have to go back and try to complete it at some point. Wakapale echoes Freaky's sentiment, adding, there have been many great games in the Games with Gold program, but I'm limiting my answers to games I hadn't picked up before they were offered as Games with Gold. Chariot was one of the early Games with Gold games for the Xbox One, and it remains one of my favorite games. It drags a bit at first, but it makes up for it with a stellar endgame, and the hidden level is one of the best puzzle platformer levels ever made. Hand of Fate was a really cool Batman Batman combat roguelite. Speaking of Batman, the bizarre Gotham City Imposters is one of the few non-battle royal multiplayer games.
Love it.
Multiplayer only games I've really enjoyed without boosting. The stack of Rayman Legends was also very nice. Stega says the
Gotham City Imposters was fun.
I never played it, and no, it's okay. I was like intrigued by it, but I just by the time I really heard people were starting to work on it, I was just too far down the road and not really so invested. Did you wind up playing? Did you play it much? I don't remember.
I played it early on. Let me think. Yeah, I played it earlier on when it first came up, Games of Gold, and it was just fun. It's not like the most amazing game out there, but it's just a fun game that if you were to jump into, it's good.
Yeah, and Chariot is a great game. It's a co-op platformer as well, and I don't even know, because Elle and I have played it together. I can't even fathom how a lot of that works if you're not playing with a partner, because there's so much of you have to put this peg here. And for those of you who don't know Chariot's a game where you're basically dragging this, I think it's the coffin, the king dies at the beginning or something like that, and it's light and funny. It's not as dire as it sounds, but you're trying to bring this to it's where it needs to go. And it's the prince and the princess or something to that effect. And it's just, the platforming is so clever, and it's not easy, but it feels so rewarding when you get stuff done. It doesn't feel like you can cheat it. It's really, really, really good, but it's also difficult. So, we didn't get all the way through it, but I remember really enjoying that. So that's a really good one to point out, of course.
Yeah, I think it also has crazy TA or something, or ratio or something, I think.
Yeah, as an early Games with Gold game.
Holy crap. Yeah, it's a 12 ratio or something.
How many people have tracked it?
Let's see, 85,000.
Yeah. So, and I think there's a pretty easy achievement to get it on your tag. So I think it's easy to get started, but it's tough, but it's fair. It's not an unfair kind of tough. It's really, really, really good. But But yeah, continuing on with Stega's response, Stega says, the most memorable to me is probably Child of Light. In a time when I was only playing mostly shooters, it was a great change of pace to try this indie RPG. Had a fantastic art style and fun combat, and not to mention the beautiful soundtrack. I was instantly hooked, but my only gripe is it was so short. Yeah, Child of Light was great, and I missed the UbiArt engine. Like, I can't even explain, because those games were so good. Oh wait, that's the wrong. No, was Child of Light also UbiArt? I just confused it with Valiant Hearts really quick, but I believe it was.
Let's look. It was developed by Ubisoft.
Yeah, I don't remember if it used that same engine, but yes, it was really good. It's interesting because I don't think of Child of Light as being short. I think it's still like an 8 to 10 hour game. But yeah, it's
12 to 15 from
okay.
What TA says.
And it probably took me even longer then. I wound up playing through it twice. So in Child of Light, there's a neat hook where it's a single player game, but if you have a second player, there's this little like light mote that travels with the main character, Aurora, and the second player can control that mote. So what you're able to do is use that to like make the enemies go slower, or to heal Aurora and her companions a little bit. So it's not a full co-op experience, but it's a way for like, if you have somebody in your household who's not a big gamer, but you want to try to kind of draw them into playing with you and seeing the story, and there's no pressure on them either, because if they don't want to do that role or aren't pretty good at it, you can control both with a single controller. So you can kind of take that over and do it. So
that's cool.
But yeah, very good choice. And then finally, Mental Knight 5 says, D4 Dark Dreams Don't Die is the best Games with Gold offering. The characters are so bold and weird. Intriguing mystery I wish had continued. And fun to watch how many bites Japan thinks it takes an American to eat a whole pizza.
Huh.
Yeah, D4 is weird. That is the right term for it. And that's just this studio. I think they also did The Missing, JJ Macfield, and but I don't remember the whole title. But they do strange games. But I completely agree. I started D4 shortly after it was offered as Games with Gold and put it away for a very long time. And then I went back to it and really sat down and played through the whole thing. And like, I wish the story had continued, because it's left on a cliffhanger. You don't really know where it ends up. And it's so weird. You honestly don't know where it's going to go, because it's so strange. It doesn't feel random. It doesn't feel like it's going to throw curveballs just to throw curveballs. There's definitely a set story there, but it's a very intriguing and interesting title, and a perfect Games with Gold title, because I don't think a lot of people would have picked it up had it not been on the service.
That's what this is so good at.
Yeah, and so as for myself, like I was in the same boat I think you were alluding to before, Kenny. Like, I didn't want to pick a game that would be like the same games I've talked about 100 times. Like, obviously I love Rayman. I've talked about Rayman a lot. So I looked through the list and I was trying to pick something that I don't frequently spotlight, but I enjoyed and wouldn't have played if not for being on Games with Gold. And for me, that was Sacred 3, actually. Sacred 3 is
don't even know what that is.
Yeah, it's an adventure action RPG. Like, it's one of those games where there's sort of a world map with interconnecting levels, and you move into the level and you play through that one level and frequently repeat them multiple times to build up your characters. I don't know why I got so into the game, because it's not a super... Oh, you know what I do know? Because Sacred Citadel is the beat-em-up version. That's sort of a companion piece to that series. So I figured, let me try this. It came with Games with Gold. And it's also a 4-player co-op game. So I think for G-Task that year, like, I was able to do a lot of stuff and then carry my team to things that had ridiculous ratios. But I really enjoyed it. There is DLC that I never got around to playing, because one thing with Games with Gold, other than when we got random Smite DLC, you got the core game. You didn't get like a full edition of it. If games had DLC, that it's not like with Game Pass. If a game has DLC, there might be discounts attached to it. So I never purchased the DLC for it. But I never would have played it, never would have downloaded it without Games with Gold. And I put a significant amount of time into it. I did not complete it insofar as achievements, but I completed the campaign and was competent enough at it to actually help other people get some achievements done. So that one was a great add for me.
Yeah, this doesn't look bad.
I see you have not yet started Sacred 2, Fallen's Angel, but were you tempted to pick it up?
No. And the honest reason is because a lot of times when you're playing these sorts of games, the quality of life improvements come later. And I really didn't know the Sacred series going in. So it wasn't like I was familiar with it from other venues. And so I jumped in here because this is something I'd always heard about. It was just, hey, it's here. This is something to try out. So I did. And I'm always a little wary if you're jumping in at that point in a series of going back and being like, oh, in the next game, I could just hold the X button and it would attack. And now I have to tap it or whatever else. So I never really felt inclined to go back.
I mean, it's only 5 years. What kind of quality of life improvements could they have implemented? That's crazy.
Certainly nothing.
Oh, man. I've been kind of scrolling this list, and I've completely forgot and overlooked a couple of these other games, like Tumblestone.
Yeah, I love
really
Tumblestone.
like that game.
It gets so
that was a great
difficult,
puzzle
though.
game.
So difficult.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's not easy. And I think I actually did miss like the actual best Games of Gold game that we got. And quite honestly, probably the best Xbox One exclusive we got, which was Sunset Overdrive.
Yes. Good call. I've been fortunate.
I completely forgot that was Games of Gold.
Me too. And I've been fortunate with Games of Gold too, because if you're someone who does like home console swapping, so you have a game share partner, right? I frequently forget to download games with gold games because Elle downloads them. I've never missed one. So that's been helpful too. You only need one person in a game share partner situation to actually download the game to have access to it.
So I'm looking at TA, and they've got an Xbox Live Arcade leaderboard and an Xbox Game Pass leaderboard, but they do not have a Games with Gold leaderboard.
Interesting.
Really?
Yeah, I'm kind of like, well, why not? Why wouldn't
that's
you,
surprising.
If you have those other things? Yeah, so maybe that'll be coming. I mean, with this news, with Game Pass news, maybe that'll kick them. I don't know.
I wonder if.
But yeah, I was just sort of the way my brain was working, Fufu, and you guys were going down the list talking about all the bangers, and I'm just like, every single one of those pretty much has gone directly to the backlog. Just like do not pass go, just go straight to the backlog, and we'll come back around to them. And it would be nice to see that on a leaderboard and see, okay, well, who's actually gone through and played these things?
And I know this would be the case for really any game in these services. I would guess some of the difficulty with games with gold games is they've also been available as Game Pass games. So, like, I get what you're saying too, but like, I may have played the game because it was available through one way and not the other. And I'm wondering if maybe TA started with a Games with Gold leaderboard and like merged that into a Game Pass leaderboard or something. Like, I feel like maybe something happened like that at some point, because I know they're not the same functionally, but it's an interesting question, especially with the program being sunset. Yeah,
but at the same time, like, if you look at the Game Pass leaderboard, I would have like Master Chief Collection points in that, but really, I bought the game day one. I didn't play it on Game Pass, so right. I mean, all kind of the same at the end. Forgot about Never Alone. That was a great game. I never would have played that. Not a chance would I have played that if that wasn't Games of Gold. Super Bomberman R. Inside. Frick. Okay.
Brothers was a game with Games of Gold too, right?
Yeah, I almost wrote Brothers down.
Yeah, lots of good stuff.
There's a lot of good stuff on this. And then like 2021 rolls around and it just goes pew, splat. So
what was the cutoff date? September? Is it going to be September? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So predictions. Whimper or bang?
Oh God.
It's a good one. I feel, because of the nature of the way that Game Pass Core is going to be, where they're, and this is just, again, assumption, we don't have those details at this point, but where the whole point of Game Pass Core is to give you like the most cornerstone games, I feel like it's going to be whimper because it's going to be like, okay, cool, you got these games, but look, once your subscription rolls over, you're going to have Master Chief Collection or whatever else. So I don't think it's going to be that exciting.
Yeah, go ahead.
I feel like it might be somewhere in between. Like, I can't imagine that, like, we go out with a bang and we get a couple of just absolute best games, you know, a Diablo 4 or some other high profile game. I can't see that happening, but like I can't see this going out on a 2 out of 10 game. You know, I can't see them giving us Redfall or something like that.
I mean, it's been a while. It's been a while since they've given us an Assassin's Creed. So
well,
there's more to give.
I could see a Valhalla or something like that. You know, it's just something like in the middle, something that's not completely awful, but not something that's incredible either.
I just feel like
perhaps
remember
like
when
an Activision title.
Oh, if they give us an Activision title, God, that's a whimper.
Remember when backwards compatibility, like when they said, okay, we've added every game we're going to add, like they hit us with a lot of content, but I don't recall that. And there were some things that were surprising, but I don't think anything in that backwards compatibility thing was like, wow, this huge thing we've all really, really been waiting on and wanted all this time. The reality is they're clearly not investing in this program anymore, right? Like, why end with a bang? Because at this point you've already sort of resigned yourself to the fact that it's not going to be there. It just the quote unquote bang is going to come on the other side of it when you see what you get for your subscription rolling over. Yeah,
it doesn't really make sense to go out on a bang, but
right. Yeah, I wish they would.
I hope it's not like, Radalika's. You know, they're just gonna start giving Radalika's and the cat game. I hope we get something kind of. I don't like to use the term mid, but I hope we get something mid-level. Honestly, I wouldn't mind an Assassin's Creed. I own them all, but I think that would be a good type of game to kind of sneak in there, like an older, solid title would be a nice way to, you know, getting one or two of those before September would be fantastic. But yeah, right, the pessimist in me says mid. You know, it's gonna be whimper.
Right, like we know the differences between Games with Gold and Game Pass, right? Games with Gold, you're getting a license for that game, so you effectively have it, right? Versus Game Pass, where it's always transient whenever they decide it's on the service. Mm-hmm. So it would be nice to be like, yeah, here's our final offering to you as somebody who's been a member of this program. But the economy of that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and that's really what it's all about in the end. But we'll see that like Microsoft sometimes pulls out these surprises, and yeah, like an Assassin's Creed game as a final volley would be great.
You know, you made the Activision point, and my mind kind of started running with that. I could see given like a Spyro Reignited trilogy or like the Crash trilogy or Crash 4 or something like that. Well, something to where it's just like, hey, this is a good game. It's a higher profile game, but it's still a quote-unquote first-party game, and we don't have to pay that much to put it on the service.
Well, here's another thing to consider, though. I think I saw somewhere in passing today that tonight, as we're recording this, was supposed to be the day that the Activision Activision acquisition had to be completed, right? It was supposed to be 11:59 tonight. Now, because of the realities with the trial that happened and going to the CMA and working out an agreement with them, I think I saw somewhere that this is being pushed back a couple months because they were either going to kind of automatically get an extension running through or they were going to request an extension. A couple months from now is September. And it makes sense to be like, Xbox Live Gold is ending, but starting on this day where it becomes Xbox Game Pass Core, you're getting all the backlog Call of Duty games or something to that effect. Something where it's making this new program, even though you're getting it anyway, seem like, wow, I never needed this past program. I'm just moving on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I could really see this going either way of being good or bad.
We'll find out. We'll revisit.
I hope it's decent. Wait, so it's going out September 1st. That means next month's games is our final Games of Gold drop.
Oh.
Correct? Or does that mean we're getting Games of Gold through September?
Well, I would guess that means that the August 15th games are the last. Or the August 15th game, because it's one now, right? So, yeah.
Right. Sad.
Well, we'll find out.
Yeah.
Games have always been, or the games as of recently have been bad, but like, it's still a free game. Who cares?
I don't think it's even fair to say bad.
No one signed up for gold for that.
Like, I think Hoa was last month, right? Like, that was pretty good. And the game that came out this month where it's all the audio, like it's just audio. Yeah, that's not the game on the top of people's wish list, but it's intriguing and it's a way for people to engage with them. So I don't know if it's fair to call them bad. They're just not AAA titles.
That's fair. I will say it sucks that it is going away because this is going to hurt a lot of indie devs. I mean, how many games have we just talked about that we never would have played had it not been for this program? How many indie devs, got a lot of spotlight on them or were able to make money because of Games of Gold?
Well, a lot of these things, a lot of indie things have kind of flown into, Game Pass. So,
also true.
And for $10 more, you can get Game Pass Indie.
But I think to a point that Koosh raised earlier, right? Now, insofar as what Microsoft and the participants care about, it's really download numbers, right? I imagine. But you're right. Many of these games with gold games were immediately backlogged. I'm more likely to play a intriguing indie game on Game Pass because I know that it might not be there forever. So I think Game Pass does a better job highlighting those because of the feeling that it could be limited in nature.
Fair. All right. But yeah, I think that will do it for this week's topic of discussion, unless you guys want to shout out any more Games of Gold games.
I'm good.
All right. Well, in that case, let's go on over to the game showcase. I'll go ahead and go first. We'll just go down in order. So I've got like a little funny story that I just noticed. So if you guys remember, forever ago, we used to play Clicker Heroes all the time. Or at least I did. I love that game. I wish we had more idle games. Well, I remembered there was an idle game that I never did complete, so I've kind of started playing again. Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms. Now, I'm not really going to go into this game. I just kind of noticed something about this. And I don't know if it's just because I've been friends with L so much and he's rubbing off on me or what, but when you look at TA, it's a 200 to 300 hour completion, and I've put over 600 in it. So I don't know if L's curse of just taking forever to complete games is rubbing off on me or what. But I gotta say, I don't know if I'm gonna mock him so long for taking extra time to complete an East Asia solve anymore, because here I am taking 3 times longer to complete this game. Just something funny I noticed. But no, the actual game I want to talk about, and we've mentioned this on the podcast before, is Zoo Tycoon Xbox 360 version. I don't know why. I really truly don't know why, but I really want this like series completion. I know there's one on the Windows Phone that unfortunately I just will never be able to get, but I'm not counting that one because it's Windows Phone. No one cares about that platform. But like, I got the Ultimate Animal Collection completion. I got the one on the Xbox One. So it's like, I went on eBay a few weeks ago, and I'm like, I just wonder how much it is if I have an auction. I noticed that it was like $2 or $3. And then with shipping, it wound up being like $10. I'm like, all right, I'll do it. I'll dive back in. I'll collect that poop some more. Now, the one problem with this, and it's something that I realize I say a lot, it's not backwards compatible. Have you guys used your Xbox 360 recently?
Yep.
Yes.
It's slow.
Yeah.
It's been a minute since I've used my 360 for a game. Because so many of the games that I play, I want it to be backwards compatible, or new or something. Like, I don't want to use my 360 because I know how slow it is. I forgot how slow it exactly was. So sometimes loading these games up, it's kind of a chore. And also coming from the Xbox Series X and going to this, I can say I miss quick resume. I really do. It's so nice having quick resume. And it's just not a thing on this. You actually have to load up a game. But yeah, they're just more or less funny stories, I guess you can say, with this. I don't exactly know how much I could say about Zoo Tycoon because, one, we've talked about it before. And I feel like everyone at some point has played this. I think it actually was Games of Gold, if I remember correctly, not the 360 version one. Maybe the Ultimate Animal or something like that. So I imagine most people have played it. But yeah, it's one of those games I've been working on here and there, just playing a couple minutes, trying to do a camp scenario, try to get that done, and then we'll wind up going through and collecting all the photographs. And I guess if you have the 360 version and want to jump in and go for that completion, send me a message. I wouldn't mind having some people in a challenge zoo. For the most part, I'm just going to be sitting there. I'll probably wind up having like my Xbox Series X on my other TV or on my computer or something, playing that, switching back and forth because I'm just going to be sitting there for so long. Two things at once. But yeah, that's all I really got. Crazy couple of weeks I haven't been able to play something new, even though I'm dying for Exoprimal. I really want to play it. I'm so excited for that game. But just haven't had the time.
So,
Nate, what game have you been? Oh, go ahead, Michelle.
Just real quick. So I know you're talking about the challenge zoos and all that stuff. Now, Zoo Tycoon is a pretty lengthy completion. Like, have you jumped in on the scenarios already, or you just went right to the challenge zoo stuff to do all the, like, breed the different variants and release the animals and that kind of thing?
I jumped in with the scenarios. I figured I want to get them completed first, because a lot of the different stuff that you need for the challenge zoos, like to research everything, there are certain things that you unlock after you complete a scenario. So it's like, all right, I might as well do the scenarios first. That way they're done. They're out of the way. I'll get a couple of different achievements while going through it for that. And then afterwards, I'll just stick with the grind and do the challenge zoo and get
Makes
them
sense.
done. But yeah, that's about it for me. Nate, what have you been playing?
Oh, so we talked about Assassin's Creed a few weeks ago, and how good Black Flag is. I've been hitting it pretty hard, and I completed Black Flag on the 360, and I was about 60%. So
Nice.
I put another 47% into the game, completed it, but I'm
Game's
still
so good.
playing it because there were 5 dogs that needed to be scratched for Uplay challenge. So I did that. And then I still have to, like, it bugs me that I have 100%, 100%, and 99% for like the side tasks. So I'm still like, once a day I'm logging in and I'm doing the ship missions to get my last treasure maps so that I can then go get the last 2 treasures that are missing. Once I do that, then everything will be 100%, and then I can turn it off and walk away, or uninstall it and walk away. And that'll be both stacks done. And I'm telling you, if they do that remaster, I am 100% playing it at some point in time.
Nice.
It's
maybe
probably
not
the
right away.
best Assassin's Creed.
Yeah. And I went ahead and I started Liberation too. I saw where I am about that one. I'm about 60% through that one too. So
On the PSP?
Yeah, on the PSP. Well, I'm playing the HD version on the 360, which is when you said, have you been playing the 360? Yes, I have. Actually,
yeah.
no, that one is backwards compatible. It was a Prototype that I was playing on the 360 because that is not backwards compatible.
Good. You need to complete that game.
Yeah.
It's
so
so
much.
good.
But that's not what I'm going to talk about. That's just what I've been doing. What I'm talking about is a game called Children of Silentown. Now, we received a code for this a while ago, and it slipped through the cracks. Completely my fault. And I'm actually glad that it did, because now I get to say something nice about Daedalic Entertainment, because Daedalic was the publisher.
Oh boy!
And if I had done this at the time, the last thing we would have said about Daedalic was, "Oh man, it's a pity about Gollum." But I get to say good things. Children of Silent Town, once again, published by Daedalic Entertainment, developer Elf Games. I don't think they've done... No, this is the first game. This is an adventure point and click, which I was maybe not sure of, because, I'm interested in the art style for the most part. And it is a darker point and click type story. So it's not all sunshine and rainbows. And it's got kind of a village motif going on. If you know the M. Night Shyamalan, if I said that right. I don't think I did.
Close enough.
If you've seen The Village, or you've seen the trailer for The Village, at least you kind of get an idea of the ambiance that's going on, and kind of the setting for this type of story that they're telling. Now, it's not the best, but it is good. And you don't have a whole lot of options in terms of what you're doing. You pretty much have to do these certain things to push the story along. So the game is split up into 5 chapters. You are going to have to play it twice. I did look ahead a little bit. You are going to have to play it twice to get the full completion, because 2 of the endings require you to have a different best friend. And based on your actions in the previous chapters, that's what's going to determine the outcome of that particular achievement. Like, are you going to get the one that gives you this friend, or are you going to get the one that gives you this friend? And there is no chapter select that I've seen. There might be in a New Game Plus mode. I'm not sure. But you are still going to have to play through the game to set all those conditions to get the opposite ending. And I think a playthrough takes a couple hours. I've already put 3 hours and 40 minutes into it, and I'm on the 4th chapter of 5. So I probably got another, hour and a half to 2 hours before I finish that. It's not just a point and click. There are also little puzzles. There are little puzzles in there, which is a different kind I hadn't seen before, where you're given like a grid and you have to sew through some buttons. And some of the buttons have 2 holes, some of them have 4. I mean, maybe they're fancier buttons later on in the game, but so far that's what it is. And you can't cross the threads. So it's like those lines games. You just have to figure out the logic in order to get it to the end, crossing through all the buttons. Then there was there's also like a little jigsaw puzzle mini game that was there. There was a button mashing mini game. So it isn't just a point and click, and there are these tiny little puzzles hidden through, and there might be some more. And one of the things you'll be doing as you go through the game is you'll be learning songs, and you can then use those songs to interact with the environment. Sometimes you'll sing songs to characters, and they will tell you, you'll kind of see into their brain a little bit, like the things that they're thinking about, and that will eventually, if you solve the puzzle that you get by singing to them, that will give you some more conversation options. And those are typically needed. Like, they're not optional. You're going to have to do them anyway if you want to get through the game. And that'll allow you to kind of, do things you weren't able to do before, finish conversations that you couldn't finish, maybe get an item or something that'll help you progress through. It's not one of those games that's like really difficult to figure stuff out, but I did find myself stuck once or twice, kind of just, bundled my way through it, got through the first one. I did get a little stuck on a second point, and I looked at a guide just for the tiniest of hints, and then I had to close the browser because, once I start, it's really hard to stop looking at that guide. So I got rid of the guide immediately and said, after I bookmarked it, because I will definitely be using that guide for the second playthrough to make sure that I'm, number 1, being as fast as I can, and number 2, doing all the things I need to do to get that second ending. Most of the achievements are for progressions, and you'll get stickers. You'll find stickers as you're doing things, and pretty much I think every single one of those stickers is an achievement. One thing about this game is it really, really, really pays to go back and look at things that you've already looked at before. If you do some sort of action, sometimes like these significant actions that happen, you might want to go back and look at something that you've already gone through, because there might be something there that wasn't there before, or something in a scene might have changed, and that gives you something new to do. And that I hadn't really seen that before in other games. Normally, once you go into a room, you check the room, and that's pretty much it, you know. But this, sometimes you go back and, oh, well, there's this other option now, and actually I got an achievement for it. But yeah, so it's a interesting art style. And I like I said, I like the setting, and I've had a really good time with it. And I'm glad I finally get to say something good about Daedalic, since they're no longer going to be, well, I mean, they're still going to be publishing. They're just not going to be making games. So this may not be the last good thing we say about them. But yeah, that is Children of Silent Town. It's a little pricey. It's $20. It's never been on sale. I don't think you're going to want to pay full price for this. And since it came out in January of this year, it should be due up for a sale. Well, it should have been due up for a sale by about now, but perhaps by the end of the year, it'll finally get its first sale. So if you're a point-and-click person or an adventure game person, you might want to pay attention to this. Not very many people have played it. Only 74 starters.
Yeah, there's no completion estimate.
What price would you recommend it?
So few people. No, it's just usually you see that completion estimate, you get a sense of how much you're getting. Because point-and-click games, if they're on the longer side, sometimes feel every bit of being on that longer side. Like there's the Book of Unwritten Tales, I think is like a 25-hour point and click, and it feels that. But I have no idea what to expect other than I see Koosh said TA alleges you've put just about 4 hours into it.
Yeah, I put about 4 hours into it. Some of that was, sitting around or whatever.
Right.
Not a whole lot. But yeah, and that's almost through my first playthrough. So I think 6 hours is probably going to be where it lands. 6 to 8 maybe. And I don't think there's a good way to skip. So that second playthrough might feel a little bit slower. It did not feel slow the first time through, whereas Book of Unwritten Tales definitely felt long. I think it felt very long.
Yes, that felt very long.
I've not completed it. It's so long that I haven't completed it. I just was like, oh my gosh, it's still going. This, I feel like it's definitely coming to a head, and yeah.
It's not dragging. Every single achievement is missable. So that's this is a good game to keep in mind if there's a missable target. But Kenny, you're starting to ask a question about the price.
Yeah. You were saying that it's $20 and it's probably a bit too much and it's going on sale. What would you recommend the price be?
I mean, it's hard to say no to a $5 game. I would say if you're an adventure type person, $10 is probably, what you'd probably be okay with $10. But at $5, I think this is, it's definitely hard to say no to at $5.
Okay. Point and click games.
But I guess my point is that it's a solid point and click. It's not one of these where it's a bargain point and click. No, this is a good, it's a good Daedalic point and click.
Oof! I just realized 74 starters, so there's no walkthrough or anything like that, really. Yeah,
you're gonna have to leave TA. You have to leave TA to get a walkthrough. There's there are video walkthroughs and there are text walkthroughs on Steam. They have both. So yeah. So you'll want to head there for the walkthrough and maybe get credit on TA later. I don't know how you do it, but for me, I'm just gonna do the walkthrough and call it good.
All right. Michelle, what game would you like to talk about?
Well, I too would like to talk about an adventure game, which maybe is arguably point and click, but not really because the elements are so light. And that would be Creepy Tale. Creepy Tale, actually, it's published by No Gravity Games, and I have played Creepy Tale before because over the holiday, No Gravity Games ran a promotion on the Switch where every day you could log in and get a free game. And at the end, the last game they gave out was Creepy Tale. And so Elle and his son and I actually sat through and played the Switch version legit. We did not use any guides. We took our time to figure everything out and had a pretty good time with it. Creepy Tale starts where the character you play, and I believe your brother, are out foraging for mushrooms, and your brother runs into this like beast-looking thing, and it takes him away, and then, well, hold on, let me take that back. Your brother gets compromised somehow. I'm trying to remember exactly how, because there are a couple different elements. But you early on see these sort of monster characters, and you're trying to figure out how to get past them to find your brother and get to the root of what's happening here. It's presented pretty sparsely, but so it's all mostly left to right, in and out of different environments. There are some things you can pick up that are sometimes a little difficult to tell because it looks okay. It's not pixel art or anything like that. It's definitely got a kind of specific hand-drawn style that it went for. Insofar as achievements for the game, one of the achievements, for example, is collecting buttons. But these buttons just look like little circles on there, and they don't look special, right? So unless you know to keep an eye out for them, you would miss them. We enjoyed going through the game, figuring it out on our own. It probably took us something like 3 to 4 hours without using any guides. Creepy Tale is very, very short. If you use a guide, it's maybe 45 minutes. So,
oh wow,
yeah, it's a really easy 1,000 to get. And listen, I always like to encourage people to try to play a game without a guide the first time. I know that we all play games for different reasons. There's one missable, and it's for those buttons. And because the game is so short, you can fly through it and pick them back up in 45 minutes. But it's also not that it's so super duper astounding that you're really missing out. So if you're looking for a game with a quick gamer score hit, this is a good one to go for. But if you're also looking for kind of, just a game to go do some exploring that's not going to be a huge time commitment, this is also a good one. It is $10, but it's gone on sale for $3. And at $3, that is a perfect price for Creepy Tale. There is a sequel to Creepy Tale, and the second game actually, we haven't played much of, so we had also wound up with that on the Switch, because I believe No Gravity Games did a similar sort of promotion, where Creepy Tale 2 was the final game, and it's significantly improved. Like, it's voice acted, and the animations are better, and all this other stuff.
Dang.
So I'm actually looking forward to going through Creepy Tale 2 legit on the Switch, and then eventually picking it up on the Xbox. But yeah, for a short little adventure game, it's a good little experience. That when that sale comes back around for $3, it's worth picking up, I think.
This art style kind of reminds me of if Tim Burton were to do like a 2D game.
Yeah,
thing.
I think that's what they were going for. It's not really super creepy. It's not a really, really scary game. Like, there are moments where these monster creatures, essentially, if they turn around and spot you, they will come and grab you. But because of the animations and the styles, it's more silly looking than scary looking.
Yeah.
But that's what they're going for. But yeah, it's not a hard game at all. Most of the achievements are, again, only the one is missable, but the game is so short it's hard to even qualify it as missable. It's just that it would require you to start over. There's a chapter select too. So some of the achievements, like there's one puzzle you have to solve that involves putting the right mushrooms into a pot. And there's an achievement attached to putting like 10 of those mushrooms in the pot. So that's fine. It's something you wouldn't necessarily do naturally, but if you're playing the game and you're not just using a guide, you probably are going to put multiple of them in there while you're trying to figure out the answer. So it's a good little list too.
Yeah, TA has it at a 3, so it's a decent game.
That's perfect. It's a solidly okay game.
All right. Well, in that case, I guess we should continue on to sales. It's go get Game Pass. That's my recommendation. There's nothing good that I found. Just get Game Pass. I see that Nate picked out a couple of games though.
How dare you? So yes, for sales this week, this week's sales not stunning. But there is a summer game sale going on with way too much to mention. So you might want to go back and look at what happened 2 weeks ago or last week and check that out. From this week's sale, though, there is one tiny thing you might want to be interested in, and that's Tiny Hands Adventure. This is a platformer. It's $1.19, down from $8. It's a 3 to 4 hour platformer, and it looks, well, from the screenshots, it looks a little bit like an iPhone type platformer. I think I saw somewhere that the story is you're like a little dinosaur on the quest to extend your arms. So to make your arms longer. So
See, now that's
Tiny
a
Hands
selling
Adventure. There you go.
That's so great.
That's the story you're looking at. Yeah.
That's
and
awesome.
As for real normal games, Batbarian, $9 down from $15. This is a platformer, Metroidvania. Enough said there. The word on the street is that Skeptical Mario is eventually going to write a walkthrough if there's enough pressure. So apply some pressure and buy this game. Yeah.
Nice. All right, Michelle, I see that you have nothing written on the sheet, but did you just forget to write it down, or is...
I looked this week. The Ultimate Game Sale is going on concurrently with this weekly set of sales, and I think most of the really interesting stuff is there. So it's led to these weekly sales sets being a little lackluster. So I didn't really see anything that I thought was worth pointing out.
Okay, that's what I figured. It's hard to recommend stuff that we haven't recommended already, or is already on Game Pass or something.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, while it's a thing, we do have some games of gold that you can pick up. We have Darkwood, which will be available until the end of the month. And then we have When the Past Was Around, that will be available until August 15th.
Who knew that was foreshadowing?
Jeez. You've held on to that, didn't you?
Who knew what they were telling us?
That's funny. And we also do have some Game Pass news. So available now, if you're into game preview stuff that doesn't have achievements, is Tectonica, a simulation strategy building game thing. The Cave is coming to cloud and console. Toem, close enough. It's coming to cloud, console, and PC, and Steam tags as an adventure puzzle game, 4 to 5 hours. Also available is Marquette. I think that's what I said it.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. Console and PC. I'm probably going to change that name every time I say it.
As you should.
That's a puzzle game. And also available now, when you're listening to this because time travel, we have Figment 2 Creed Valley, which is cloud, console, and PC, an action-adventure game. And The Wandering Village is coming on cloud, console, and PC, which is a simulation management game. So cool for me. On September, wow. On July 25th is Serious Sam Siberian Mayhem for the cloud, console, and Xbox Series X. No, none of you dirty Xbox One owners can play this, apparently. It's a first-person shooter, also third-person shooter, and apparently has one unobtainable, so that sucks. Hopefully they get that fixed. And on July 31st is Venba.
That game
Steam
looks
tags as a cooking puzzle game.
Interesting. It's a narrative game based around cooking dishes of this family. I believe they immigrated from India and they live in Canada. So there's a whole story about the family where you choose different dialogue options. So they're branching dialogue paths, and the cooking of these foods from India sort of holds everything together. So this looks super intriguing to me, at least. I watched a little video of it earlier. And it's like, I could totally see checking this one out.
Interesting. And then coming on August 1st is Celeste, which honestly I thought was already a part of Game Pass. Was it on Game Pass and then it left, or was it just Games of Gold? Now I'm getting them mixed up.
I think it was both.
Yeah, I think that's correct. It was in Game Pass and out, Games with Gold, and now it's back.
Cool. Well, it has what do they call it? Accessibility option, so it's an easier completion, I should say. And we have some leaving Game Pass stuff. First up is Marvel's Adventure. Wow.
Try that again.
Did I mention that? Did I mention?
Marvel's Action Adventure.
Wow.
I had no idea that was on there. I'm going to have to get on that.
Marvel's Avengers. Oh my gosh, right below it says Adventure, and my brain just put them together. If you haven't started this yet, you're probably not going to finish it. It's 100 hours, 120 hours. It's a long game, and apparently it'll be delisted on September 30th, which I did not hear about. That sucks.
Yeah, it's old news. It's actually old news. It's going to be delisted. Now,
Not surprised, but
yeah, they pushed an update to it, which means that if you own it, you should still be able to complete it. It's just you won't be able to buy it anymore digitally. It's available physically. If you miss, if you're listening to the back catalog, it's already past September 30th. You might be able to get it physically. But yeah, it's fun. I had fun with it. And I think I did it in like 80 plus hours. So that 100 to 120 is a little bit off. It's a little bit over, but yeah, I enjoyed it.
yeah, I kind of saw everyone kind of hating on it, saying it was kind of meh, and I just never picked it up. I didn't want to spend the money on it. Then up next we have The Ascent, which this sucks. This is something I always wanted to play, but I always just said, I'll get to it later. But now apparently that's leaving. Action RPG, shoot 'em up. It's around a 30-hour completion, and just a note, it is buggy. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's just the multiplayer that's really buggy, but like if single player plays fine.
It plays better in single player. I never actually played it in single player. I played it in multiplayer. Rocker said that it was buggy. I thought enough time has passed. This should be fine. And I suggested that my group play it. And I paid for that one. It was painful.
That's the last time they're going to let you suggest a game?
For a while. Yeah, for a while. But we got through it. And then the DLC was on sale. Now, it does require paid DLC to get the full completion if you're that type of person. And so, and the DLC is buggy as well. So, have fun with that.
Such a shame.
I've been told that in single player, it's much more stable, but it's just the net code is not great.
Shame, because the game actually looked decent. Then we have 2 Point Campus, which is a simulation management game. If you play 2 Point Hospital, it's basically that, but a college. This is a fantastic game. I highly, highly recommend this game. I played a good bit of this when it first came out and then wound up getting stuck and just kind of went on to something new and just haven't gone back to it. It's around a 60-hour completion, and once again, there's more paid DLC that is required for the completion. But yeah, if you like your management games, I highly recommend this game. It is great. Stupid humor in it. It's just a solid management game. Then we have Dreamscaper, hack and slash roguelite, another 40 to 50 hour completion. Man, there's a lot of long completions this month. That sucks. And final game on the PC side is Expeditions Rome, a strategy turn-based game. That's what it sounds like. So, also another like 60-ish hour game.
So, Koosh, this means you're like freed up for the next couple weeks. You don't have anything you're chasing in this set of closures?
Well, I did not start 2 Point Campus because I made that mistake with Hospital and then didn't try to complete it. So I wasn't even going to start that. I already finished Avengers and the Ascent. I started Dreamscaper, and I will probably put some more time into that. I don't know if I can commit to getting the completion, but maybe. I think I'm like 14, 15 hours in, something like that. And I got stuck on like the third or fourth boss. Like I just wasn't figuring out the patterns right. Or maybe I needed to level up some more. I'm not sure. But yeah, so I kind of hit a roadblock and then got distracted. So I might put a little bit more time into that and see if it's doable. And there's no way I'm starting Expeditions Run. That's just not happening.
Fair enough.
Well, if you don't want to go back to Dreamscaper, you're free. That would be fun for you. Although, who knows what you're going to play without something telling you what to play. All right. But that brings us to Brag Camp. Take it away, Michelle.
Okay, in completions, we have Morbid237, who's reached a new milestone of 600 completed games. A Gray Shark has reached 700 completed games. Nutty Ray at 900 completed games. Red047 at 1,100 completed games. Lucas1987 has reached 2,900 completed games. And Redemption Denied at 3,200 completed games. Congratulations, everyone.
It's insane.
That's so many games.
In streaks. Mad Lefty 2097, currently on 50-day achievement win streak, as is Wild West 08. EL Sock with 150 days. Mental Knight 5 with 200, and he's joined by Ahizo. No surprise there. Scaravese, 600 days. Ben L72 with 850 days. And Northern Lass, currently with 1,050 days.
In Gamerscore, Faustine Greed has hit 250,000 Gamerscore. Fista Roboto has hit 350,000. Dinoman 87 has hit 400,000. XLAX Jester has hit 500,000. EOJ has hit 700,000. DubD23 has hit 750,000. The Araya Dragon 1.1 million. Wakapeo has hit 1.4 million. Rawsauce Ross has hit 1.5 million. Mad Eye Pad Eye has hit 1.8 million. Jimbot UK has hit 1.9 million. Sniped by a Girl has hit 2.2 million. And Lucas 1987 has hit 2.9 million gamer score.
More than half of those milestones.
My name is Big L.
Wow, there were more than half of them were over 1 million. That's insanity.
Which is crazy.
Wow. Congratulations.
That's inflated amazement. Good job.
Wow.
In leaderboards, Chesno is now in the top 500 of the gamer score leaderboard for fighting. Legohead 1977, top 200 of the TA difference leaderboard for action. Luke 17 with a couple zeros is now on the top of the 100 TA difference leaderboard for Xbox Game Pass. Mad Eye Pad Eye, top 20 of the England True Achievement leaderboard. Nutty Ray, top 20 of the England True Achievement leaderboard as well. Scaravese is now in the top 20 of the Pennsylvania Achievements 1 leaderboard for survival. Sniped by a Girl, top 5 of the Canada True Achievement leaderboard. And Wheezy Fuzz is now in the top 500 of the USA Gamerscore leaderboard for simulation. I guess congratulations.
Good job, everyone. That's crazy. All right. Well, that will do it for us this week. Thank you all for listening. As always, check out the show notes. We have a Google Doc that has the links to where you can find us on all the different places and socials and stuff like that. Special thank you to our patrons. They help to continue the show. They help us, do all the different contests, giveaways, and stuff like that. Thank you all who help support us through that. And also thank you to all of our Twitch subs. Even though most of you are a Prime sub, we still appreciate it. We appreciate you giving us that Prime sub instead of someone else. But with that, once again, thank you all for listening. Class is dismissed. See you all next week.
Goodbye.